Those approaching retirement age are keeping a nervous eye on falling interest rates. And Douglas Holtz-Eakin of the American Action Forum tells Yahoo Finance that we have good reason to be nervous about that.
We're in a low-rate environment. Traditionally, those nearing retirement want to move out of riskier equities and into safer fixed-income securities, and they're not going to yield very much.
So it sounds like we either accept minimal returns or take on more risk at a time in our lives in or near retirement when that is the last thing we want to do, Dolph.
Well, famous phrase around the office, it's why take risk when you don't have to? And that's just like a motto that we look at, and when we're creating plans and we're talking to different clients and prospects of there are strategies out there and people talk about them all the time, but you have to commit to that idea. And I look at Linda and Greg, who were so worried about the financing and the rates of all their accounts. And I met them probably about, 3, maybe 4 months ago. Greg was a high executive accountant for a big firm here, and Linda was a paralegal. And they've worked in those jobs. They've been here in Charlotte since before the roads were built. I mean, they've been here for a long time. And they were hearing all this stuff going on. They were sick of guessing what was going to happen next, because what really struck them the most was last year in October, November, and December when we had that boom and everything just went down so quickly. Mm-hmm. And yes, it came back, but it was like in a snap of a finger, they were down 18% of their portfolio. And they're like, wow, we can't handle this anymore. And they're looking at the rate environments, and they're looking at the yield curve. When they came to my workshop a couple months ago, and we talked about the yield curve and the 2 and the 10-year yield, and they're saying, Dolph, we've heard about that. And there was a book they heard that we gave away called Stress-Free Retirement, because they've heard us say this before, why take risk when you don't have to? And they read that book. And then they came back and said, I want to know what's going forward instead of guessing what's going forward. And when you're in this low-rate environment, I mean, Greg and Linda, the same thing. It's like, let's get into a secure area because we're going to retire in the next 5 to 8 years, depending on how everything works out. And because healthcare is one of their big concerns, but that's another animal to tackle. Mm-hmm. But they're like, if we can know what we're going to have in 5 to 8 years, and we don't have to worry about this rate fluctuation, we don't have to worry about the China trades and all this other stuff. And after they read that book, they were like, let's discuss some options. And it was a wonderful thing because now they have a plan. And they called me last week and they were saying, Dolph, we've never slept so well than we have recently, because in the last 3 months, seeing this popping up, the market's doing well one day, down the next, and we don't have to worry about it because we know that we're taken care of. God, he goes, what a wonderful thing is. And they said, God bless you.
Next on the Income Strategy Show with Dolph Janis on News 1110 and 99.3 WBT.